All right, so we have Fight for the Fallen and a regular edition of NXT. Thank God, because if they would have said, if they would have came up with a name last minute, if they would have came up with Fight for the Forgotten, I would have been like, oh, come on, guys.
No, I laughed because Jim Ross on AEW TV kept calling it Fyter Fest Part 2. And it's like, no, Mr. Ross, no, sir. Fight for the Fallen.
No, but I love JR, and sometimes I hate JR. But he means well.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
He's still good, and I still like when they put together those video packages. That's where JR shines. When they cut up all the stuff that he says, these little things that you don't really notice, but when they make these packages, those packages feel epic because of JR's little calls in the background.
It's, to me, it's like when I take a look at AEW's commentary, part of me thinks, and of course, I would prefer to have Jim Ross almost as a guest commentator, meaning for like the big matches to make it feel more special. Again, my position on Excalibur, yes, independent of the fact that I think that it's absolutely absurd that he wears a mask and wants to go by his old, indie gimmick name, which is just stupid. I mean, with all due respect to Excalibur, nobody outside of the indie circuit knows who the hell you were as a professional wrestler. I'm sorry. Nobody knows. And he's got a good voice. He knows all the talent really, really well. He knows the moves, and he knows all the names and all the gimmicks to the moves and all that stuff. And he's got a good voice. Of course, he's still learning, so you can't give him the front mic, as the lead guy. I would have put Taz to be the color guy. And in this edition of AEW, Taz did a good job being on commentary. The only thing is that I was like, why the hell are you on commentary? You're a character on the show as the manager of the guy who was in the main event going after the AEW title. And even though he did kind of, pseudo explain it in commentary, it's like, dude, you should not be in the commentary booth calling matches, very calmly. I'm like, no, you're preparing your guy for the world title match. So I would like to see Excalibur and Taz do more things together, because I think that Excalibur with more experience can be a good lead guy, and Taz is a good color guy because he calls the moves, he takes it seriously, and when they joke around, yeah, I could roll my eyes at it because it could be a little bit much at times, but I'm fine with that. I like Shivani doing, the backstage interviews. No disrespect to Alex Marvez, but he just sucks as a wrestling personality. He has none. And with Jim Ross, it's more a matter that there's so many moving parts that sometimes for him being the lead guy, it almost seems like he can kind of have like, mental, I don't want to say mental lapses, but he can have like these little hiccups, and they have these gaps that need to be filled. And if you're the lead guy, you should be able to know those gaps and fill them. And the fact that it's becoming more and more repetitive with him, that he doesn't do it as well as he was able to, years in the past. There's that thing where I'm like, the transition is going to be to make sure that Excalibur and, be the lead guy on AEW, because he really is future wise is probably going to be the best fit. Of course, I hate the mask and whatever. I think it's stupid, but his voice and his talent, you can't deny it. I mean, he is, in his best moments, he could be really good.
Yeah, Excalibur and Taz do Dark together. They're a really good team.
Again, with all due respect, if for AEW Dark, if let's say that at its very best, AEW is getting 800,000 viewers on TNT, when I go to YouTube and I've kind of searched some of the the episodes for AEW Dark, at best they get 50% of the AEW Dynamite audience watching views wise on individual episodes. So that's the reason why I'm saying the best stuff that AEW has, do not put it on Dark. Put your best stuff on TV. Even if you got to cut guys off and, you can't feature as many people, it's like, You know, you
Yeah,
introduce.
they don't put their best stuff on Dark. Dark is squash matches basically. It's literally a jobber against a regular talent. Um, it's just people getting reps in. There's a lot of young wrestlers in AEW, so they got to get reps in. Working once a week or once every other week,
It's not gonna work out.
it's
I
not.
know.
Yeah, it's not enough.
If Scorpio Sky, again they had the one match with Jericho, which yes, the match was good, but I was like, this is not the right match to tell, because if you're putting, this is when Jericho was the champion, and if you have this match, you're like, okay, again, it's, we'll do this because I know that we're going on a long tangent here, but it's kind of the same
Well, I
thing.
think this episode has just changed into something else, so we're
Yeah,
just gonna have to go with this route for the rest of the show.
but the thing is with Scorpio Sky and Jericho, it's kind of a very similar situation to the match between Sonny Kiss and Cody Rhodes. The difference is that Scorpio Sky has been featured more. The SCU tag team. I don't know if SCU was the tag team champions at the time that he wrestled against Chris Jericho, or if they had just lost the titles. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Forgive me one way or the other, but SCU had been featured way more heavily on AEW TV than Sonny Kiss. Now, Sonny Kiss, the way that they present Sonny Kiss is like, dude, you have so many great stories that you can tell with Sonny Kiss. Meaning, you introduce him. First of all, I mean, is he the first openly gay LGBT wrestler? No, he's not. But the thing is that if he's wrestled mostly on the independents, has never been on national television prior to being on AEW, and you have a tremendous opportunity if you know, let's say that AEW knows several weeks in advance that, hey, Sonny Kiss is going to be working against Cody and we're going to have this match. What you do is that, first of all, you don't have Lance Archer beat him up the week before when he was wrestling against Joey Janela. The matches that Janela and Sonny Kiss have as a tag team, on the TV show, you do it in a way to where they win. Sonny Kiss gets the win, so that in essence you can feature him more prominently and more strong, and then have some kind of, whether it's a video package or whatever have you, with Sonny Kiss, telling his story. So like that, when this match happens with Cody, the match in and of itself, does it really matter? No, because the match is going to be good because Cody's good. He's not going to lead you to a bad match. But the fans, the audience now has some idea of who Sonny Kiss is and why we should care about Sonny Kiss. Because the thing about it is that Sonny Kiss, with this match with Cody this past week, was not a bad match. On its face, it was not a bad match. However, the issue that comes up is that this one match is not going. Is it completely intended to get Sonny Kiss over? No, it's not going to happen. But my fear is that when I see Sonny Kiss next, whether he's wrestling a singles or whether he's tag teaming with Joey Janela, I don't necessarily know if that match is going to mean anything, because Sonny Kiss has not been presented in a way that will make me care one way or the other about him, whether I like him or I don't like him. And that's what I'm talking about. These are the opportunity things that I'm talking about. With Cody having these matches on TV, and he's going to wrestle against all the underneath guys. He's going to wrestle against all these different talents, with the exception of Jake Hager and Jungle Boy, because I think the Jungle Boy is, he's an exceptional talent. But when he wrestled against Mark Quinn, when he wrestled against Sonny Kiss, these are people that are they're little to not known at all to a national audience. And even Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, was not known to a large audience before AEW. The thing is with Jungle Boy is that he's really, he's really, come up, and he's done a fantastic job, since he's been on AEW. But that's the thing about these matches. I would like to see that if Cody's going to be defending the title every week, I want AEW to kind of make a concerted effort that if they know, weeks in advance who Cody's going to be wrestling against, unless it's guys that we know, like national stars that we know who they are, but it's like the these wrestlers that have never been exposed on national television before, tell their stories. So the matches mean a little more, so that if Cody beats them, then there's a possibility that they can be elevated to a different level than where they were when the match started. I don't think that this match, as like I said, it was a good match, but do I think that it did anything to elevate Sonny Kiss? In the end of the day, no. It was a good match. It'll probably be it's the best match that Sonny Kiss has probably ever had. And I've not seen much of his work, but I think it's a safe bet to make that was probably the best match Sonny Kiss has ever had in his entire career.
Yes.
But I don't know that the next time we see Sonny Kiss, whether in singles or tags, that we're gonna view him any differently.
I mean, watching that match, I already view him differently. I was not a fan of Sonny Kiss. I didn't care about Sonny Kiss at all, but never. I've seen Sonny Kiss even on the indies, and I knew there was charisma there, right?
Yes.
Like, it was funny. I was talking about this. I went to this indie show in Jersey, and I saw probably 25 wrestlers. 2 of them stood out. Sonny Kiss, the first time I've seen Sonny Kiss ever. Keith Lee, first time I've seen Keith Lee ever. They were at the same show, and in my mind, it's funny, you can't teach it, right? You can't teach that it factor.
Correct.
Those 2 people, and Keith Lee didn't do any of the high-flying, super athletic stuff. He worked big man style, but that's not what I noticed. What I noticed was the way he carried himself, the way he spoke to the fans. He came out. He had never worked East Coast Indies, apparently. He's from Texas. He works in the South mostly in Texas at the time. And he came out there, and you could tell he felt a little weird, because he was like, damn, these are East Coast people are a little different, But he played around with the fans, and after a while he got real comfortable, and right away I was like, oh, this guy's special. But either way, I don't think everyone is designed in AEW in their minds to be a big star, whatever. They're in there because they can bring something to the table, even if it's a little bit, So Sonny Kiss is viewed as someone who brings a little, is an interesting person. They're coming in, they're different, they're unique. They can do some cool stuff, if you need them to do some cool stuff. But I don't think they saw Sonny Kiss. They probably don't see Sonny Kiss as a huge star, right? However, that doesn't mean Sonny Kiss is not going to be given opportunities. And I think that's what this title is about. Just like it reminded me of the Cena USA title, US title run, right?
Correct.
Where Cena was having matches, open challenge, and that's the beauty of open challenge, because it's what is your excuse now for not putting this person, whoever it is, in a match? It's like there's no more excuses. If someone hasn't been given opportunities, Sonny Kiss has not been given a lot of opportunities. But Sonny Kiss does deserve at least a chance. And I think that was the purpose of this match. Let's give Sonny Kiss a chance to get over. Will he get over? We don't know. But let's give him a chance. To me, maybe he didn't get over. I don't see him as a huge star. No, that's not what I see in Sonny Kiss. But what I did see is that now, seeing that match, I go, oh, you can at least put Sonny Kiss in situations where Sonny Kiss can be a good babyface that gets sympathy. Like, right? Like, Sonny Kiss is like the damsel in distress. And I think Sonny Kiss can at least be good at that. Someone that's probably not going to win a lot, but still can get the fans to care about them, like, emotionally. Like, go, oh, no, that's messed up. I don't want to see Sonny Kiss get beat up or, lose. But Sonny Kiss is probably going to lose. But you can still get an emotional investment, even if Sonny Kiss doesn't get super over. Now, that doesn't mean that Sonny Kiss can't get over, because anybody can get over. But, to me, these matches are to shine a little spotlight on people who might not get that opportunity, or you might not know what they can do. And like Mark Quinn, you know what he can do in a tag, but maybe they go, yo, I've seen Mark Quinn, do some cool stuff. But in a tag, you're splitting the time. So if it's a 15-minute match, you might get 5 minutes to shine, right? There's 4 guys, they all got to take turns shining. But in a match with Cody one-on-one, those 10, 15 minutes are all yours, right? So you get to show off. This is the most I've ever seen from Sonny, like you said. This is the best thing I've ever seen Sonny Kiss do. Exactly like you said. I didn't know Sonny Kiss could do some of the stuff that Sonny Kiss did. And I also didn't know that I could care about Sonny Kiss. And I kind of cared. I kind of felt bad for Sonny Kiss taking some shots during that match. So it's not going to make, will it work for everyone? I don't know. They kind of almost had me, and I saw the potential of, you get Sonny Kiss in there with the right heels, and you can tell good stories, even if Sonny Kiss doesn't become this huge megastar.
My question to that would be is, did you end up caring about Sonny Kiss because you were invested in Sonny Kiss, or because of the fact that he's working with Cody? And since you're since you're invested in Cody, then that automatically, that's like, that's like, I don't want to call it guilt by association, but let's just say that you care about Sonny because of the association that he has with Cody in that match.
No, I think Sonny Kiss showed me enough in that match that now I'm paying attention, where before I kind of was not. The only thing I noticed with Sonny Kiss was doing damn splits on every spot, and I did not like that. So I was already turned off with Sonny Kiss. Like, every worker in wrestling that can do a split decides to do a split in every goddamn spot. It's like, it's a pet peeve of mine. I've always hated it. In this match, there was a split, but it was like the right moment split. You get what I'm saying? The Sonny Kiss spots that he might do too much, they were put in the right place this time. So it was like a little mini highlight reel for Sonny Kiss. It was at the right moments. These spots that are usually just rushed, there was enough time for me to care, I think.
All I know is that, and I say this again with all due respect, this is what happens when somebody like Sonny Kiss, who is talented and has charisma, but is in there with a professional, and that professional leads them. And I'm not going to say Cody's hand-holding him to a match, but he's certainly leading. And this is the end result that you get. What I'm looking for is to see, when I see Sonny Kiss working the next few matches, and again, one of the things that kind of frustrates me a little bit about AEW, and I understand that it's a philosophical thing, but Sonny has this good match against Cody, and I say good match because, again, it's good for the standard, because it's by far probably the best match that Sonny Kiss has ever had. Mm-hmm. When is the next time we're going to see Sonny Kiss? Because he's not advertised for next week's show, and he's going to end up sitting in the audience, looking like a Mark fan. When you had an opportunity to shine him, there should be some follow-up, meaning whether you put him in a match, and you could put it on Dynamite, it could be a singles match, it could be quick, but you give him a shine, feature him, let him have that one, let him have a match, do a little follow-up, and continue that build-up. Is he going to be a mega star? That I'm not going to make a call on that, but there has to be follow-up. And the one thing I've noticed with all the matches that Cody has had is that the guys that he wrestles with are not featured the following week. They could be featured 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, whatever have you, but they have these good matches on TV, and then they're not featured the next week. There's no follow-up. So what ends up happening is that it almost gives fans time, I don't want to say to forget about the match, but then the next time you see them, yeah, the commentators can say it on commentary, oh, they had a great match against Cody, but there has to be more follow-up. There has to be a follow-up, so then you can, again, you start building on the goodwill of that match.
Yeah, when it comes to Cody's matches right now, the way they're handling them, look, like I said, these are guys who, well, at least Mark Quinn, Sonny Kiss, Ricky Starks, these are not people that they probably see as huge stars, but they're being given opportunities to shine. And if Sonny Kiss, let's say if Sonny Kiss, that match impressed the heck out of Tony Khan, I think Tony Khan will be like, you know what? Let's see what Sonny Kiss can do. Let's give him another shot. But if Sonny Kiss went out there, definitely had a good performance, I didn't think it was a perfect performance by Sonny Kiss though. So
That 450 splash looks sick, man. That was beautiful. That was
yeah,
really.
I didn't know he can do that.
Oh yeah, I've seen him do it before, but that was just.
Maybe I saw it and I completely forgot.
That's like a
Pretty
9.
sure I've seen it.
That's a 9.5, man. If I
Yeah,
if I had to judge it.
if I did see it, I completely forgot. Maybe because I wasn't invested, but I won't forget it now. This match, I won't forget.
Well, listen, we'll reconvene on Sunny Kiss, a month from now, 2 months from now, and
Yeah, but
see
Sonny Kiss, I think, like you
follow-up
said,
is.
Cody is leading people to good matches, but these people need to have these matches, or they won't ever be able to lead others to good matches.
Correct. I don't disagree with you on that. The one thing about these matches is that they can be made better by featuring these guys, and because in the case of Jungle Boy is over with that audience. He's been featured very well. Mark Quinn with Private Party, they're featured well, but the thing about it is with Private Party is that they're so green that um their matches are very hit or miss. There's not an in between with those two guys as a team. I think Mark Quinn is a sick athlete. Like he can do a lot of really sick stuff, but what I want to see out of Mark Quinn is the ability to be able to work. And of course, I'm not talking about the moves because his athleticism is off the charts. It's here. It's between the ears. It's the psychology stuff that you only learn by working with guys better than you. And yes, when you take a look at AEW's roster, there's only but so many, true veterans that can lead these guys and teach them. Cody's doing an outstanding job in leading these guys into good matches, but as of this point, I have not seen the follow up that makes any of these guys look more important. Jungle Boy is the exception to the rule because Jungle Boy was already over prior to wrestling Cody, but all the other guys, I've yet to see Ricky Starks back on Dynamite. Mark Quinn has wrestled matches with Private, in the tag team with Private Party, but they've just been a bunch of schmazes in terms of they're just guys doing stuff to each other, not real matches that impress. Jake Hager, again, Jake Hager's Jake Hager. He's in his own world, and here with Sonny Kiss, yes, I was impressed with Sonny Kiss. Now I want to see the follow up. It's kind of the same premise that I said with the women with Hikaru Shida when with Penelope Ford. When I was really impressed with Penelope Ford, and I was like, wow, this is a coming out performance. That was 3 weeks ago, and I haven't seen her on Dynamite since. Why? Those are the kinds of things that I look at. It's like it's follow up. Sometimes you've got to be able to follow this up. You can't say like, oh, we'll give 3, 4, 5 weeks in between matches. By that point, the real impressive, like this was kind of seared into my brain, that begins to dissipate a little bit. It's a matter of the follow-up, and that's the reason why sometimes you can have too many bodies and they're trying to introduce all these folks at the same time, and that's where they can kind of get into trouble. When you find performances, individual performances that really pop out and they're like, wow, this was really good, feature them more, give them more opportunities, because I'm almost certain that Sonny Kiss is not going to wrestle this coming week on Dynamite, and that's okay. But if the following week, 2 weeks from now, if I'm watching Dynamite and I don't see Sonny Kiss wrestle, I'm going to be like, come on, guys, what's up? Get him a match. Get him in there with somebody.
I don't think we can talk about everything on these shows, but I do want to bring something up.
I think we can.
No.
We'll just keep going,
rapid fire? No. We can rapid fire it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do want to talk about something.
Sure.
Although I always Ivelisse. They promoted Ivelisse. She's gonna have a match with AEW.
And here's the thing. I'm extremely happy to see Ivelisse Velez in AEW. However, I hate the fact that she's wrestling against Diamante for this reason. Because neither one of these two women have wrestled on Dynamite, and one of them is going to have to do the job for the other. What you do is feature Ivelisse, have her beat, Kenzie Page or MJ Jenkins or one of these other girls that you have that are just doing jobs, have her look good, put Diamante on 2 weeks from now, have her wrestle, do the same gimmick again, introduce them both, and then Have them win matches so like that when they lose their first one, it doesn't sting so much.
I mean, I semi-agree with you. The only thing is, I already know Diamante needs a lot of work. I don't think they see her the way Ivelisse is legitimate. Everything I've seen from her in the last 3 or 4 years, that girl can work. And when we were talking about people that, you know, I was mentioning that there weren't a lot of women out there when AEW started. You know, WWE had a lot of them, and Impact had a lot of them, and there weren't that many. And even Ring of Honor had a few.
Ivelisse is always there.
Ivelisse is one of the best, absolute best workers. She works like a dude, and a lot of girls are starting to work like the dudes, but she was working like a dude before the Women's Evolution. Ivelisse is really, really, really good, and I don't know what the problem was and why people are hesitant to sign her. It seems like nobody wants to sign her. I hope this is a signing. If it's a test, I hope she knocks it out of the park. I know she's really, really good. I'm really excited because now all of a sudden, this is someone who can have great matches. So AEW needs 4 or 5 of these new, like they need 4 or 5 new talents like Ivelisse. So this is one.
I will say this with Ivelisse. First off, if I'm AEW, I'm signing her, and I say this with all due respect because the AEW women's roster, by and large, is not very good. By and large, from bell to bell, it's not very good. They, listen, with oh my God, with Britt Baker. With Britt Baker, she's greener than a pepper tree in the ring, but she's found a character and a personality, and AEW's running with that. Big Swole is a good athlete, but the thing is that AEW's not done a good job of kind of telling us whether we should like her or not like her. It's like they're just putting her out there and just letting her be. But I'm like, okay, there's no real semblance of, dialed up control, like even Velvet Glove type thing. With Nyla Rose, AEW has done a phenomenal job of doing everything they can to devalue her every single time she steps into the ring. Every time she steps in the ring, they've done a fantastic job of devaluing her. Penelope Ford. I always thought Penelope Ford was just eye candy. She had a really good match against Shida 3 weeks ago. I've not seen her since. Shame on AEW for doing that. Hikaru Shida, again, she's the champion. She's not a bad worker, but she's not going to draw a dime in the United States of America. She's just not. I'm sorry. She's not going to do it. If you can get people like Ivelisse Velez, Tessa Blanchard, if you can get somebody, if you get a Taya Valkyrie from Impact Wrestling, get people like that, now you're establishing a women's division. And then you can get rid of some of this fluff garbage that you have. But
I don't think they need to get rid of anyone. Those people just need more time. Penelope's going to be good. It might take a year and a half. It might take 2 years. But she showed us that she's gotten better already. She just needs more time.
All I'm saying is that I agree with you. Yes, she's very green and she's going to need time. The thing about it is that with AEW, what they have essentially tried to do with a lot of these people is that they're trying to base it on getting over personalities. And I'm like, yes, it's good to do that, but you can only go but so far with that. There does come a point where they have to, the bell-to-bell stuff has to work. And the thing is, for the most part, Nyla Rose is probably the best bell-to-bell worker that they currently have on their roster. She's the biggest one, the strongest one, the one that should be bumping for nobody, and she's gotten beaten by just about every girl on the roster. It was just, not this episode, but the one prior, where she finally had the introductory match that she should have had a year ago. A 2-on-1 squash, boom, just smash over everybody. Then she teases the announcement of a manager, and my God, it was freaking Vicky Guerrero. And I'm like, listen, no disrespect to Vicky Guerrero, but Nyla Rose is the one. If there's any one woman in the AEW women's roster that does not need a manager, it's Nyla Rose. And now you put Vicky Guerrero with her. Nothing about that package works. Nothing. Nyla Rose can cut her own promo. She looks badass. She should be able to smash through every woman on that roster. And then you put Vicky Guerrero. Yes, Vicky Guerrero, has a national name, even though she hasn't been in the national spotlight for well over a decade, but there's still value in the Guerrero name. And listen, God bless her. She got a gig in AEW. They see value in her. God bless her. I'm not throwing any stones on that. It's just a matter that, damn it, that's the one person that does not need a mouthpiece. You put Vicky Guerrero in there, and I'm like, okay, you've just taken the one legitimate badass person you have, and now you've dumbed it down further, because Vicky Guerrero is the furthest thing from a badass. She's not sinister. There's nothing. Nothing comes across from Vicky Guerrero that looks like it would work for somebody like Nyla Rose. No. So it's just like, again, hopefully when Nyla Rose wrestles, she gets to smash through people and she's not bumping for people literally a third of her size. But damn it, it's just.
I think Nyla will be the next women's champion. I think so.
I don't think that she should have ever lost the title to begin with. She should have still been the champion. She should not have beaten her at the last AEW pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely make an argument for that.
She should have lost that match, because the story. Here's the thing. The story would be is that if Sheeta would have lost that match, she would have to continue working her way up. Nyla Rose can continue smashing through people, and then you could tell the story of Sheeta trying to make a comeback. The problem was that they made that like an anything goes match, which is like, okay, that's the stupidest thing you could have done for the first match between the two for the title. You got to make it more of a conventional. You got to make it a more conventional wrestling match. Have Sheeta lose, and then you can start building a story to where you can get to that anything goes match that they had, and then Sheeta can win. But the thing is that Sheeta has to lose at some point. If you're going to have a trilogy of matches, the babyface cannot go over the first time. Babyface has to lose.
All right, let's discuss some. Let's just throw out names.
Sure,
how about we do that? How about Robert Stone? I mean, he continues to make me giggle, but you know what I did like? You know what I do like? I like that there is an effort to get him some people, and whether he gets them or not, I don't know. But at least we're putting it out there that, oh, maybe he'll get this person, maybe he'll get this person. So the stories are being told that he might end up with what's his name?
With Indy Hartwell.
Yes, Hartwell, and also Killian Dane. That sucks that I forgot his name, because at one point he was a big badass guy who I really wanted to see, and now I can't remember his name. That kind of sucks.
Well, this goes to show you that Killian Dane really benefited from having the sanity, like the whole sanity package, and it goes to show you that sometimes the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, because Killian Dane is an individual, and I say this with all due respect to him, because he's a good talent, but it's very difficult for me to believe that he's ever going to get over in WWE as a top talent, and it has nothing to do with all WWE wants to present him like crap. It's just that when you seriously look at him, you're like, okay, I can name you 20 other guys that I'd rather watch than him.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, because I remember when he first joined Sanity, my thought is, okay, Eric Young is the leader of this group, so Eric Young is the main eventer for now, and he's in the background as the big scary guy. He's the real main eventer eventually, but you have to keep them together first. It's kind of like Braun Strowman now, right? He's in the Wyatt family. He was just a big scary guy. But he was supposed to be when he first gets there, he's like the weakest member of the group, right? He's like the wackest one.
He's the baby.
Yeah, but now he's the champ. That is the same story that should have been told with Sanity, where Eric Young is the leader for now, and then Killian Dane becomes this monster who he keeps sicking on people, and eventually you sick Killian Dane on Eric Young.
and think about this insanity, right? The only person in that entire group that has gone over as a star in the WWE is Nikki Cross.
Yep.
He's the only one. Because with all due respect to Alexander Wolf, I know that he's part, he's part of Imperium, but you can easily remove him from Imperium and not lose a single step.
Yeah, probably right.
I'm just saying. So that's really what I'm talking about, is that the whole is the greater than the sum of its parts, and that's the deal there. Yes, I can agree that they're trying to make an effort with Robert Stone. Here's the thing that actually I don't like about this. When they had Robert Stone and Chelsea Green as a package, they actually looked like people that you can see on the horizon, on the come up. Having Robert Stone now being essentially a really poor man's version of like a Bobby Heenan, God rest his soul. And the reason why I say this is because he was never been established. He's never been over. We've already discussed this.
He's
He has,
doing Bobby Heenan, but without the credibility.
without the heat. He's doing it
It
without the
doesn't.
heat.
It doesn't work if he doesn't have. If you can't take him serious first, it only works once he's over. So
Correct.
you cut his legs out from underneath him before he got over. And I agree. The Chelsea Green package, I saw them as a huge deal. I was like, oh, now all of a sudden Chelsea Green is like gonna be the next Charlotte in my eyes, and Robert Stone is gonna get her to the top. And then they stop it. Yes, that's why I've been disappointed in everything that's been happening. He's basically starting all over, but his legs have already. He doesn't have his legs anymore. So now it's like now he's just comedy, and the comedy. Is it funny? Yes, but no one's gonna get over because he didn't get over first. He should have got over, and he could have got everyone else over.
Here's the reason. Here's the reason why the comedy. I'm going to agree and say that the comedy's not funny. We've already discussed this. The reason why the comedy's not funny is because of the fact that yes, he has no credibility. So he has no credibility. He has no heat. The comedy makes no sense.
Yep.
Because again, when you take a look at all the people that are participating in whatever it is that Robert Stone is doing currently, they have zero credibility. None of them. Probably the closest one that may have some credibility is Shotzi Blackheart, and I'm stretching, and I'm really stretching to give her credibility. Because think about it, right? They do the match, right? And then I'll just talk about the match: Indy Hartwell versus Shotzi Blackheart. The match was fine. Technically speaking, the match was totally fine. The classic big man, little man match. Indy Hartwell doing exactly the right thing. She goes in, she does the power moves. She's powering her down, and after every time she hits Shotzi with a power move, goes for the cover. 1-2 kick out. Shotzi Blackheart then begins her comeback. I did not like the fact that in a match like this could have been, if they would have been given 2 or 3 more minutes, they could have been able to do like, oh, Shotzi's not dying. She's trying to make a comeback. She gets cut off, takes another set of heat for another 2 minutes or whatever, and then Shotzi can make a comeback. She does the comeback. Out comes Robert Stone doing just stupid, ridiculous comedy. I understand, he's limping, selling that toy truck.
I knew you weren't gonna like that he came out like that because it's similar to Sammy Guevara selling. It's like comedy selling. I know you don't like comedy selling.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing about it, right? Bobby Heenan, God rest his soul, was probably the best comedian ever in professional wrestling, right? But everything that he did, even if we laughed, nothing that he did was ever like ha ha winky laugh when he was a manager in the ring. When he got his butt kicked by the baby faces, when he was foiled, whatever it was never stupid comedy. It was always like, okay, everything is in context, very serious within the match. He gets foiled. He's the manager. What's the manager going to do when the babyface gets his hands on him? Bobby Heenan's going to look ridiculous because that's the way the managers are supposed to be. They're chicken shits. That's how it's supposed to work. Now, when you see a guy like Robert Stone who has exactly this much credibility, zero, he comes down to the ring, does that stupid comedy selling of his injury. I roll my eyes because I'm like, okay. I just was like, ugh, whatever. I kind of like chuckled, but not because I thought it was funny. It was just more like, oh Lord, you could do so much more with this guy. He's actually could be a really good manager and be taken seriously. But WWE is just refusing to do that. They want comedy for the sake of. It's stupid. When Aaliyah comes in, she pushes Shotzi Blackheart off the top rope. The right thing to do, but I didn't like how Shotzi took that bump. She was pretty close that her head would have hit that top turnbuckle. She would have really gotten hurt. I'd look at her and be like, don't take that flat back bump like that. There was not a lot of daylight between her head and the top turnbuckle. That was somewhat scary. Even when I saw it on replay, I was like, please don't do that again. Indy Hartwell wins the match. It's the right thing to do. So Indy Hartwell gets a win, which she has not had on NXT. Shotzi Blackheart has an out, and then Aaliyah and Robert Stone get whatever level of heat they can get to continue their story with Shotzi Blackheart. Nicely done. It was well done. It's just a matter that, again, none of these people have any credibility. You have to start from the ground up. And when you start something with silly, stupid comedy, it's just, it makes it much more difficult for me to take these people seriously and think that I would even care to watch them.
All right, so let's talk about some storyline development here, which I think was interesting. I'm sure you're not gonna like it, but I liked it, and I'll explain why. So I'm talking about Kenny Omega here. Kenny Omega, we all know the story, and we all kind of know based on clues and things that happened within matches for the last, 4 or 5 months. The plan was clearly for Hangman to turn on Kenny being the babyface, Hangman being the heel. This would hopefully lead to a big pay-per-view match. They'd go up against each other. They'd tear the house down. Both guys would get over, hopefully. That's the plan. However, everything that Hangman has been doing, once he cut the cowboy shit promo and drinking beer with the fans, he was getting over huge, way bigger. It's funny because it's like they were right and they were wrong. Because Hangman, everyone, JR, everyone in a mama before AEW started, this guy's going to be a huge star. Yeah, everyone, he's going to be a huge star. But those first couple of months, he was missing something. And I don't know what it was, but even his matches weren't great. But right away,
thinking stuff.
Right away, they tell this story, right? And Hangman starts to dig into it, and he figures it out and gets over. So now he's one of the most over babyface. He might be the most over babyface in terms of reaction, loud reaction. Like, he gets a big reaction. And I got to see it in person. He gets a big, big reaction. It's like, whoa, this guy is over in that world. So now, you can tell they kind of put a little pause on the story, but finally we get some development. So the development is Kenny showing signs of losing it and kind of turning heel, kind of. He's kind of was a little bit of a heel during his match, which he's really never been. But the reason I like it is, for one, Hangman is a little bit too over with that crowd. I don't feel right turning him heel when he's so over. Now, Kenny is very over, but he does have, first of all, he's the veteran anyway, right? He's the guy who's he is a veteran. Like a 20-year veteran. He's been wrestling for 20 years. Like, what? In people's eyes, Kenny's the biggest star. I know you don't like Kenny. That's fine. But he's the biggest star. In that world, he's the biggest star. I like the bigger star helping the younger star, or the more seasoned guy, the more over guy at a time, help the younger guy. Hangman gets more from Kenny turning on him than Kenny gets from Hangman turning on Kenny. Also, Kenny does have haters. He has more haters than Hangman. I think he has more fans than Hangman, but he has more haters. And I think if you can play into those haters, like you, for instance, if the older crowd or the Jim Cornette crowd or the more traditional crowd doesn't like Kenny Omega, okay, that's fine. Let's flip him. I like it. You can play to these people who don't like him. Let's turn that up. Let's get them to really not like him. And also, he's quirky. He's naturally quirky. He's an interesting, weird dude. He speaks in a weird way. It's harder for a babyface to get over like that. It's much easier for a heel to be a heel, even if he's quirky, if he's weird, if he slips and falls. It doesn't matter. A heel can pretty much get away with anything. The New Day, they were too cookie cutter. You turn them heel, it's perfect. Some people, they're just better as heels. I don't think Kenny's necessarily better as a heel. But for right now, for this moment in time, I think it's a perfect time. I like where this is going.
I actually agree with you on this. Obviously with Kenny Omega, yes, I'm the whole idea is in story is that, listen, He wanted to kind of have a goodwill gesture to FTR for, after what he did the week before, spilling beer, and he offered them a beer. FTR spilled their beers on him. They basically said, "Screw you, we don't like you." And you could tell that Kenny was not happy about that. And then essentially he was embarrassed by Marco Stunt during that match. He was embarrassed. It's the only word to be used. Again, the match between Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, it was a fun match. Was it good? No, but it was a fun match. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of energy, and it felt like a big deal. The thing is that when you see Kenny Omega, who's let's say he's 6 feet tall and whatever, I'll give him 215, 220 pounds, and he's wrestling Marco Stunt, who's 5 feet tall and probably is 100 pounds, and Marco's wrestling competitively with him, it's preposterous. It's just stupid. And not competitive in the sense that Kenny makes a mistake and Marco capitalizes. It's that Marco's competing with him, and even though in the beginning of the match it looked like Kenny wasn't taking it seriously. But
well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was gonna say that's literally was the story. I know you're always looking for the story in the match. Yes. That was literally the story in the match.
But that was in the beginning. But then even after Kenny started taking it seriously, Marco was still working competitively with him, which I just rolled my eyes and I said, "Oh dear Lord, like why?" Now, after the match was over, when Kenny Omega slammed him down with the one wing angel and slammed him, got a little extra on it, finally got the 3 count, I just looked up and I said, "You should." And I just was yelling at my TV, "You should be embarrassed by that. You should be embarrassed by the fact that a small child almost beat you by himself. Because it's not like Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus were helping him. He was doing it by himself. Should be embarrassed." And then when Kenny Omega went and got on top of him and started giving him the extra punches, I was like, good. Good. That's what you should be doing. You should be pissed. You should be upset that this little boy basically almost beat you and you're a grown-ass man. Now, when the Young Bucks and the Jurassic Express were like, "Hey, Kenny, what are you doing?" The thing that I didn't, and I understand you got to slow burn this thing, but really what Kenny Omega should have been like, "Oh, screw you guys, blah," and just leave, because of the fact, and then later on, he could be like, "Yo, guys, listen, I'm sorry, I lost my cool, blah, I had a bad night or whatever," but he needed to kind of storm off, because at that point, he's kind of saying like, "Yo, he's really cracked." He was just like, So I thought that was wrongly played. I do agree with you that Kenny Omega should be the heel, because here's the thing. I've said this many times whenever I see Adam Page and Kenny Omega have their tag team matches, is that Adam Page gets the regular Dick, Tom, and Harry treatment when he comes to the ring in terms of his entrance, and then Kenny Omega comes out, and no matter where he's positioned on the card, it's the pyro, the big, the big music video, the whole thing, and then just around Kenny, the whole shebang, which is stupid because he's not the main event. But the thing is,
wait, come on! If Undertaker comes out, he does the Undertaker entrance. That's just his entrance.
Yeah, I get it, but what I'm saying is that if the Undertaker's part of a tag team, you can't really compare the two. But the Undertaker is
okay. Forget the Undertaker. Everybody in WWE does their same entrance every single time.
Yes,
every worker.
But what I'm saying is that you could clearly tell, at least I can.
He picked the better entrance. Hangman can have a good entrance if he wanted to.
Whatever.
Anyway, I'm glad that you say that, because even if it's that, I don't think that's on purpose. That Kenny gets this big entrance and Hangman gets a slightly smaller entrance. But I'm glad that is like that.
But I see it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if this is. I mean, if AEW is presenting it this way on purpose, it's genius, because it's very subtle genius. If it's by accident, okay, fine, it's by accident. But I noticed it the very first time it happened, and I was like, okay. I was like, what the hell? Like, they're making Kenny Omega look like, oh, it's back in the 80s. This is Hulk Hogan and Hangman is Hillbilly Jim, and whatever. No.
Lou, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna look back, because Kenny has the same entrance since day one. But Hangman's entrance was pretty epic back in. I don't remember what his last entrance was. It's the same entrance, but I want to see if he's getting less pyro. Because if he is, then maybe it is.
Pyro. He's getting no pyro.
He used to get pyro. He's been getting no pyro for real, for sure.
Nothing.
If he's not getting pyro, then maybe you're right, and it is on purpose. Because he gets pyro normally when he does the thing with his neck, whatever, Hangman. The pyro, boom, 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 boom. He gets pyro.
Well,
So,
not in Daly's place.
So if he hasn't been getting pyro in Daly's place, then it is on purpose, and that is hilarious.
Well, all I'm saying is that when you take a look at that, that could be like a subtle stroke of genius. All I know is that when I see it, I notice it immediately. Is that the story that they're trying to convince you is that Kenny Omega is the bigger star, and when I see it as a fan, I'm like, hell no. Adam Page, I think for my money, even though Adam Page still has some seasoning left, but I see a hell of a lot more in Adam Page than I do in Kenny Omega. Flipping Kenny Omega heel and possibly giving him a personality, like actually taking like some of that, probably some of that real life trolling and all that stuff that he gets. And if Kenny can take that and turn it into promos that really bring out a personality, he might be able to flip me. He might. But I see a hell of a lot more in Adam Page. And you're right. Originally, it was supposed to be that Adam Page was supposed to turn on Kenny and all that. No, Adam Page, right now, even though a lot of the stuff he does is goofy, with the whole drinking thing, but not goofy stupid, meaning like goofy, like, why are you doing it? But it's gotten over with the AEW audience. And I'm like, okay, keep him babyface. Flip Kenny Omega heel. I'm okay with that.
It's funny how every guy that drinks beer it's like the fans love it.
Well, I mean,
it's like, what is it about a guy who drinks beer? He's a real man, damn it.
I think what ends up happening is that there, and I say this because a guy like Kenny Omega, and I will say that even though Kenny Omega, and I've always said he's a good athlete, he looks the part. The thing about it is, from a personality perspective, Kenny Omega is never going to really get over with the jocks. I'm sorry to use this very crass term. He's never going to get over with the cock and balls dudes of the world. He's never going to get over with those guys. He's going to get over with the more nerdy, like the nerd crowd. He's always going to be over with them. A guy like Adam Page is going to get over with jocks. A guy like teams like FTR are going to get over with jocks. Not Kenny Omega, even though he looks the part, personality-wise, he's never going to fit in there. So that's the reason why in this particular case, you can have somebody like Adam Page be able to get over as a babyface, even though it was almost by accident, because it kind of seems like that wasn't the original intent. But I'm okay with that. Now it's a matter of, like, if you're going to flip Kenny Omega heel, let him take some of that anger, because in professional wrestling, generally, this is the way that the psychology works in pro wrestling when it comes to baby faces turning heel. When baby faces turn heel, it's because of the fact that something has festered for so long within them that they finally say, screw it, right? Generally, when heels turn babyface, you don't have to tell as much of a story. It's more of just like the babyface or the heel gaining a slight bit of conscience about one particular issue, and then you can turn them babyface there. When it's with babyface turning heel, you got to do a lot more work to make that convincing. I think they got an opportunity here. AEW has a good opportunity here if they're really serious about flipping Omega and turning him heel. That could be a very positive thing for them. If I were AEW, I would not be afraid of exploring that and actually taking it to its ultimate end, because I think that having Page and Omega wrestle each other, with Omega being the heel and Page the babyface, that might actually work out and get both guys over.
Yeah, I think that'll be pretty cool. Okay, I wanted to just talk about a few more people. One is, one of my favorites, Timothy Thatcher, who fought Denzel some shit.
I'll give you his name. I want to put some respect on his name. Denzel Dejournette.
Okay, Denzel Dejournette, something like that. This is not the type. This is not what I want to see from Timothy Thatcher. I want to see him have matches similar to this. However, I don't want to see him have him with Denzel Dejournette. I don't even know who Denzel is. I've never seen him. I pay attention to a lot of wrestling. I've never seen this guy. Have you?
Yes, I have. He's on NXT, 2 or 3 times. Okay. Yeah, a couple times.
I missed his moments, which I guess is fine. But then if this guy is not someone that you're featuring, maybe Timothy should put him away easily. Normally I don't care.
He did. It was a quick match.
I mean, I thought Denzel was getting the better of him with some of the grappling exchanges for
Well, that was the purpose of the match, because the fact with Denzel Dejournette is that he's actually, a
stud.
former, like stud, amateur, college wrestler. I think he may have done some Olympic wrestling. So
Also, he's a wrestler. Okay, so that's fine then. But either way, that's not what bothers me. What bothers me is, so Thatcher is heel. I kind of don't like him as a heel. I mean, I don't know if I like him as a heel, but I think he's a perfect babyface.
Not yet.
This is a guy who got his teeth knocked out, who's a technical wizard, who's super grizzled. Like, what is there not to like about this guy? You're gonna convince me. You're gonna try to convince me not to like him. I don't know. Good luck. I'm gonna like this. I'm gonna like Timothy Thatcher. He's gonna have to work hard to flip me.
Well, here's the thing with a guy like Thatcher. The reason why I say that it's okay to have him as a heel to start off is because when you're introducing him to the WWE audience, and again, this is one thing that WWE does a really poor job of. They do a really poor job of booking baby faces. They just do a really poor job of booking baby faces to a point where you care about them. So generally, if they're going to do character development, for the most part, they'll take baby faces and flip them heel so they could do character development to then flip them baby face again, but then give them the edge that they couldn't give them when they were baby faces because they didn't know how to do it while in that baby face mode. With Thatcher, since he's being introduced to the NXT audience, it makes sense to have him as a heel, get over all his stuff, and of course, he's always getting extra after the matches. He's not cheating during the match, so he's technically playing within the rules, quote unquote, in the match. But it's always once he wins, he's always getting the extra. He always wants the extra. He wants to hurt the guy. So that's the heelish thing. I'm okay with Thatcher being the heel now and introduce him, establish him, and then if you're gonna flip him babyface, there has to be a real reason, and there has to be a guy who, to the fans, to the eyes of the audience, is more physically imposing than him, at least in theory, and then it kind of like causes him to turn and then kind of be the babyface hero. That's not what this is yet. The only one thing that I didn't like about this is the fact that Oney Lorcan came out to help him. Now, it's not that I'm not happy to see Oney Lorcan. I really am. I'm happy that they're featuring him and they want to put him in the ring. It's just a matter that I would have preferred that in storyline they would have Oney Lorcan continuing to sell the injury, and Danny Burch comes out not so much to help out Denzel, but to take up for his partner. And then Danny Burch runs him out, and then you have a match between Danny Burch and Thatcher. Thatcher wants to get extra on Burch, and then that's when Oney Lorcan comes out.
I like that.
I think it was done.
Let me ask you though, did Thatcher get extra on Oney Lorcan? Because I don't remember.
Yes, he did.
He did.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, he did.
All right, good. So this is not out of nowhere. Okay, so I guess that's fine. As long as they take care of my guy, man, because I really enjoy this guy.
I like Thatcher too. I do. I like him a lot.
I think you can make this work with him. At least in NXT. If the main roster doesn't know what to do with him, I get it. But in NXT, you should be able to. This guy should be a takeover. Like from now on, should not miss a takeover.
All I know is that for a guy like Thatcher, if you're going to introduce him into the WWE main roster, you can do one of two things. I mean, if he gets super over in NXT, you can have a situation where let's just say that for theory's sake, if Matt Riddle were to ever be flipped heel, that's how you introduce Thatcher as a babyface. It's not a matter that he's going to be shaking hands and kissing babies. It's going to be a matter that he's going to be wrestling against an old rival who's now flipped heel, and he's like, wait a minute, that's my gimmick kind of thing, and blah, 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 and then they can. Yeah,
I like that too. And that's another reason I like Thatcher. When he wrestled Riddle, who's super cool, super charismatic, to me, even though I knew it wasn't, I know Riddle's a top babyface, but during their feud, Thatcher, in my mind, was the babyface. Whether in storyline he wasn't, when I'm watching it, for me, Thatcher is the babyface. I'm like, Thatcher's the babyface. I want him to beat Riddle, and I don't care. He had to work for that. His work got me there. You know, it wasn't that I looked at both of them and was like, Thatcher's the babyface.
Okay, I mean that's
He
I don't
earned it. He earned it in my eyes with his work.
I don't see it that way. But the one thing that I will say is the fact that the two matches that he had with Riddle, the first one he lost, and then the second one inside that that
Cage kind of
stage thing.
yeah, weird.
The fact that I don't think he cheated to win this match. It's not like he did something underhanded. He pretty much beat him clean. I can understand where you can think like, oh, I think he's the babyface. I don't see it that way. I would have probably booked it to be like, all right, Timothy Thatcher's going to have to do something slightly underhanded here to win, only because I want to make sure that the audience knows that he's the heel.
But or at least like you don't have to cheat to be a heel. I mean, you can use it every now and then, of course. It's always in the tool. It's always in the tool belt. But not every heel needs to cheat. You can also get heat by just talking. You know, you can just talk shit, and people, if you say the right things, people will start to hate your ass.
Well, yeah, but the one thing about Thatcher is that Thatcher's not going to be a guy that's going to talk you into the matches. He's going to be
he doesn't talk. He doesn't cheat. He's nonsense, and he has a great look, and he looks like a badass.
And here's the thing with a guy like Thatcher, it's one thing if he's wrestling against guys that are undercard guys, but Matt Riddle was a main eventer in NXT, so it would have made more sense for me if you want him to look like a heel, to do something slightly underhanded. It doesn't have to be something super egregious that makes him look weak. It's just something to be like, oh, dude, come on, thumb him in the eye, do something that would be underhanded that you could look at and be like, that's cheating. That's what a heel would do, only because he's in a situation where it appears that Riddle may get the upper hand on him, and that's how he does it. Hits his big move, 1, 2, 3, whatever.
I'd like to see him avoid someone, someone who wants to fight him. Maybe Oney Lorcan, but he already fought him.
No, that's
he should. But I want to see him avoid someone, a babyface, like who wants to come after him. I want to see him not want to fight him, and I want to see him fight people who are losers, basically, and take those fights and avoid big fights. Because it's going to be hard for me to not like this guy. You got to do something interesting. Like you say, he doesn't talk. He doesn't cheat. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't see how, with a guy like Thatcher, I don't see him running away from anybody because he's bigger,
which is a babyface thing to do, isn't it?
Exactly. But what I'm saying is that even, like a guy, let's say that, this is an exaggerated example, but you can kind of look at him like Brock Lesnar. Brock is clearly a heel. You don't run away from nobody. He doesn't cheat to beat you.
He doesn't always run away, but he does run away for the right people. He also has Paul Heyman, who's a heat-seeking missile for him. So maybe that's what Thatcher needs. Maybe he needs Robert Stone. Too bad we can't take Robert. Too bad we can't take Robert Stone serious, because if the Robert Stone who was with Chelsea wanted to help Thatcher out and make him a huge star, he'd be a heat-seeking missile for him. And now we can't do that because now he's a comedy act, and you have the most serious guy with a comedy guy. It will never work. And anyway,
here's what ends up happening. Where's Chelsea Green? She was apparently promoted to the main roster. Have we seen her? Orale, exactly.
Waste of talent. We're not even going to use her. We just now are using Bianca Belair for the first time in I don't know how long since she's been up to the main roster. So I guess she wasn't that big a deal. You had this big potential star. You didn't even use her.
This is why I'm saying that with Bianca Belair and Chelsea Green, both of them should still be on NXT until you have a clear plan for what you want to do with them on the main roster. Leave them on NXT because they're big stars and they add value to that particular brand.
Chelsea Green has been used. I don't even know if she's been used in 3 months.
Listen,
they should send her back down today. Just do it now. No one's gonna notice. Just send her back down.
Robert Stone.
Yes, and we can tell a story where Robert Stone gets out of his funk because he has his
crown jewel. He's got his
crown jewel back. He's like, thank God, everything is right with the world. And now, all of a sudden, you finally have a credible threat to Io Shirai. We can talk about this right now. Io Shirai, because Tegan was not it.
I'll let you go first, but I'm gonna give you my counterpoints. But I'll let you go first.
I mean, I don't have much to say. I don't know if this should have even been the main event.
It should not have been. It should
It didn't
not have
feel
been
like
a
it
main
didn't
event.
feel like a main event. Even on a regular TV show, it could be a main event if you didn't have that, Keith Lee, a double champ fighting, but it didn't feel big. It didn't feel important. Tegan is not the right opponent for Io right now. I'm okay if this was in the middle of the show or the beginning of the show and you go and Tegan is just challenging, but you made this whole thing. She won a big match to get this opportunity, and it's for what? And then, whatever. The match is not what I care about. NXT books every goddamn important feud the same freaking way. Somebody wins a big match, the champion wins a big match, and how are we going to set this up? Here comes the next opponent. Either they come face to face or they attack them, and that's it. No other storyline development, nothing else. It's just out of nowhere. It's the right person, probably.
It is the right
I'm not
person.
going to say that she's not the right person. She deserves it. She's done a lot of good heel work, but it just feels out of nowhere. Why couldn't Dakota win that damn match to get this opportunity? I don't know. Whatever, but there are too many. This would be fine. This would be absolutely fine if they didn't do it every month. But they do it every month. It's every single feud for the belt. It's done the exact same way. Here, just watch. Somebody's going to come out. I think at least Killer Cross, they're not trying to rush it. They're just kind of teasing Killer Cross. I mean, I hope they don't do it so soon. I know they're going to do it soon, but I hope it's not like 30 days soon. I hope it's like 90 days soon. When's the next takeover? Do you know?
I would presume that it would have been, the weekend of SummerSlam. So that's
August, a month away.
That's roughly about a month from now.
I really hope that is not the case. I hope it's Dijakovic and Killer Cross. Killer Cross beat the shit out of Dijakovic in a competitive match because they're both big guys. And then maybe in 3 months we can do Killer Cross and Keith Lee. I would wait a year, but that's just me. That's me. That's how I like it. But if they're teasing it and it's for a long time and they're always going to tease Killer Cross, perfect. Always tease him. Hey, I'm here. And one day I'm going to get my hands on you. But if they're doing this because it's happening next month, I am not happy about that.
Listen, the one thing that WWE, and again, this is where I told you when they debuted Karrion Kross against Tommaso Ciampa, and I just thought to myself, this is not the right first opponent for Killer Kross. It's not the right first opponent. Again, it's all a matter of you're trying to make a huge impact with him. And I'm like, you can. He doesn't have to be wrestling against the upper tier guys on NXT right from Jump Street. Because what ends up happening is that unless you're going to commit to putting the title on him immediately, which is not the right thing to do, because if you have Adam Cole, that at the time Adam Cole was the champion and he had the championship for well over a year, and now you're trying to establish a new champion, a new top guy with Keith Lee, and you're immediately going to put him in a situation where as the fans, you can credibly believe he can lose, which is a good thing. But if Killer Kross doesn't win, then he's got nowhere to go. You've got to build him up much more slowly. Keith Lee has got a plethora of guys he can work with. Put him in there against Balor. Put him in there against Gargano. Put him in there against Damian Priest. Put him in there against Cameron Grimes. That's 4 guys right there. Have Adam Cole rematch. Have him wrestle against Roddy Strong. There's 6 right there. Like, there's half a dozen guys before you can get to Karrion Kross. There's no reason to rush that so quickly. But now I'm getting off topic. Io Shirai against.
Hey, talk about both of them, my brother.
Listen, in that particular case, do I agree that NXT does those stories the exact same way? Yes, they do. Is it? Do I think that it's a bad thing? Not always. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends on the situation. That's a case-by-case basis. In the story, realistically, this Io Shirai Tegan Nox match should have been placed in where Dijakovic and Keith Lee were placed at the top of the second hour, right at the beginning of the second hour. You want to know why? With all due respect, if you want to feature the women and you want to give them the top spot, you cannot have the NXT North American and NXT champion who had just won the belt, that title for title gimmick the week before, and then you're going to center the show around him. And then if Keith Lee would have just came out, cut a promo, and then Scarlett comes out and does the whole gimmick that she did at the end during Keith Lee's promo, TikTok, no match for Keith Lee, perfect. Then Io Shirai could be the closeout. But basically Keith is like, oh, I want a championship match. And I'm like, okay, wonderful. Then they call it, oh, it's winner take all. And I'm like, no, do not say that. Please don't ever say that. Because what you're doing is that you've essentially now devalued how great the match was between Keith Lee and Adam Cole. That's a winner take all match. Those are your top stars. Dominik Dijakovic, God bless him, he's a great athlete, but he is not a main player star on NXT. He's not. He's just a guy that Keith Lee's had great matches with, so they wanted to kind of pay an homage to that. But no, you could say, oh, this is for the NXT title and the North American title. Even if it's a longer title, winner takes all sounds really sexy on TV. Don't say it, because Dijakovic, with all due respect, doesn't deserve that kind of level play against Keith Lee, especially being the new champion. Now, with the NXT, women's title match between Io Shirai and Tegan Nox, this match, like I said, all the matches that NXT do for the most part, bell to bell, technically speaking, are generally very good. This was no exception. This was a very good match. The thing about it is that this match was tailored and designed specifically to make Tegan Nox look good. Everything about this match was designed for Tegan Nox. Io Shirai is called the genius of the sky, with the exception of the finish when she hit the moonsault on her. How many high-flying moves did you see from Io Shirai in this match?
I don't think any.
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. And it's not. And here's the thing. It's not like Tegan Nox was in control for 80% of the match. It was more like a 60-40 match. So Io Shirai had plenty of opportunities to fly and do all these high-flying moves. She could have done like some kind of an off the top rope dive to the floor or something. I'm okay with there being with the high flying stuff being judicious. I'm okay with that. I don't want to see endless flips and dives, because that's stupid. But I'd rather see a little than see none, especially with somebody like Io Shirai. That's her gimmick. She's a good technical wrestler. But that's not the gimmick that she's played. She's the genius of the sky. She's supposed to be flying around the ring. The whole match was designed to make Tegan Nox look good in defeat. Because to answer your question about, hey, why was Tegan Nox put in this spot and not Dakota Kai? It's very simple, because Dakota Kai, within the NXT women's division, she's already over as like a top flight performer, even though she's not the champion and she hasn't had opportunities for the title. But she's done outstanding character development. With her and Raquel have been a very good package, and they've done a good job as a unit. So they've slowly been featured and gotten over. Tegan Nox is not. So if WWE is very serious about making Tegan Nox a star, there's a couple of recommendations that I would give. One is, don't have Tegan Nox speak so much. She does not sound like a star when she opens her mouth. I don't know if it's the accent or whatever it might be. It's kind of annoying the way she speaks, and I don't believe anything that she's saying. I don't believe her. She comes into the ring. She's a great technical wrestler, and God, that she put on a technical show. She did a very good job. This match for me is like, okay, I like the fact that Tegan Nox, she wanted to jumpstart the match. She wanted to shake hands, and I'm like, okay, that seemed weird, but Io Shirai did the right thing. Get the hell out of here. I'm not going to shake your hand. You're my opponent. Screw you. Right? Whatever. Obviously, Tegan Nox in the very beginning of this match was like, I want to win this match using technical wrestling. Keep Io Shirai grounded. Keep her grounded. Keep her grounded. Keep her grounded. It's a matter of, I think that Tegan Knox, and I started thinking about this now. I think that she's a good baby face. Part of me wants to believe that I would be okay if Tegan Knox were to turn heel and join up with Dakota Kai as a team, as a unit of heels. Because Tegan Knox is way better technically than Raquel Gonzalez is at this point. Even though Raquel's getting a lot of reps being with Dakota, but it kind of seems like it would be more sinister because Tegan Knox wrestled a very good match. She did all her fire, did all her stuff. Again, I didn't like the fact that Io Shirai didn't get to do, any of her really good signature moves. And it seemed like even though Io Shirai had offense and it was, like I said, I think it was a 60-40 match for Tegan Knox on offense, but she literally hit Io Shirai with just about every move she had except for the Shining Wizard. She didn't hit her with that. And then Io Shirai hits her with a palm strike, moonsault, 1, 2, 3. Io leaves, and then Dakota Kai runs in and gives her this big kick. The reason why I don't like that, I would have been okay with it. It's just that I don't want that to be the closeout. That's not the closeout segment. Because think about it, right? You put the Io match and the Keith Lee match. Both matches were good, so it's not like one match was better than the other from a belt to belt thing. They were
Yeah,
both.
it's math. It's like, okay, who's bigger, Io or Keith? Maybe they're equal. However, Keith has 2 belts.
Look at
Was
the
that a big deal or not?
It's the afterbirth of the match. That's the difference.
Yeah.
When you have oh my God, Scarlett, when you have Scarlett Bordeaux come out and then she basically takes the shattered clock that Keith Lee broke and dumps it in the ring. That is a better ending visual to say this is the last angle you're seeing on the show versus seeing that really dramatic angle and then having Tom Phillips say, "Oh, after the break, whatever." Mm-hmm. You could have done that had the women's match in the middle have the exact same match, the exact same afterbirth, nothing different, not a single thing different, and it would have been just fine. And it would make more sense to see Dakota Kai lay out Io Shirai and then go to commercial break. You have Dakota Kai cut a promo afterwards in the back with whatever the interview girl is. I keep forgetting her name, but have her cut a promo. She leaves. That's the end of that for tonight. That's the end. Then you continue moving on to the next thing. That's all it is. Both matches were technically very good. It's just that you have to look at the math of it. It's like you said, it's math. Realistically, NXT champion and NXT North American champion combined versus the NXT Women's Champion. I'm sorry, as much as I know that WWE wants to feature their women very prominently, I don't think it would have been a slap in the face to the women to put them in the middle of the show and have the guy in NXT be the main event. It just that would be no disrespect. I think that was wrongly. It was wrong placement on the show for both of those matches. They needed to flip them, in their order.
All right, let's just go to the other main event. So it's Brian Cage and Jon Moxley for the AEW Championship. This is Moxley going over. And the story here, Moxley says it before the match in a promo. Hey, Taz, you say I can't put my finish on Brian because he's too big. But what about that tricep that was just repaired? Oh, bicep. I'm sorry, bicep, right?
Yes.
Bicep or bicep. He goes, what about that? What if I just rip that out? Then what? So they kind of teased the story of the match, and that was the story of the match. It's Moxley attacking that arm in 100 different creative ways. And then, this will lead to a finish, Taz throwing in a towel. Now, I'm not going to say I hate this finish. What I am going to say is that maybe they should not book this match. But if you did book this match, I wouldn't have booked the match. If you book the match, I think the best finish is Brian Cage winning, in my opinion. For me, I don't necessarily want to see a run-in. Only because someone coming in to help Jon Moxley when he's the babyface it's tricky for me, but and also when someone throws in the towel, I don't think you blame the guy in the ring, right? It's like I didn't tell you to throw in the towel. Like Cody doesn't get blamed for MJF throwing in the towel, right? You're mad at MJF for throwing in the towel. Why did you throw in the towel? I didn't ask you to throw in the towel. I didn't need you to throw in the towel. Brian Cage did not ask for the towel to be thrown in. Taz did this on his own. Now, of course, it's not good, but you have to tell the story. What's the story here? You need to explain why Taz threw in the towel, and you need to also show that Brian Cage is not happy about this. Heel or babyface, Brian Cage is in his best interest if he is pissed at Taz. Like, what the fuck? I was going to win. I was not going to tap. I don't care if he rips my arm. I'll beat him with one arm. Whatever it is, Taz needs to do it, needs to explain, maybe not to Brian Cage, but to the audience. Look, I did what I have to do. Because right now I have a sweet gig. I'm making some money. And this is my meal ticket. And he'll live to fight another day. But I'm not going to let him get injured and miss 4 months of work. Now, if they don't tell that story, then this is a really bad finish. I don't necessarily like the finish. I would have preferred there'd be no match. And a guy like Brian Cage, I don't know if I want to see him lose at all for a while. But you had the match. You had the finish. I'm okay with it if you complete the story.
Well, I agree with you about the fact that this match should have never happened. This is actually the second big match in a row where AEW's painted themselves in a really, really difficult position with Jon Moxley. You know, the previous one was with Brody Lee, and now this one with Brian Cage. With Brody Lee, you know, I've already said this in previous videos that AEW had an out in terms of having it be a no contest. No one would have batted an eye. No one would have been mad about it. It would have been the right finish, is a no finish. But they had to get a clean win. They had to have Moxley win, and with all due respect, it's done nothing to help Brody Lee. Since then, it's done nothing to help him. Look where he's working now. In the undercard when he was working the main event. Now, with Brian Cage, this match was actually good. I enjoyed this match for what it was. I enjoyed this match. Of course, there are things that people do in professional wrestling that I don't like. Just to make mention, in NXT, when the match between Cameron Grimes and Damian Priest, which I thought both guys are good. I like both of them, and they're working a very good match. And then Damian Priest power bombs Cameron Grimes on the ring apron, a la Kevin Owens to Sami Zayn, and then Cameron Grimes pops up 10 seconds later and is back on offense. I'm like, what the hell is that? That should be the end of the match. Your back should be broken. That should be the end of the match. And the thing is, Damian Priest is, 4 inches taller and maybe 20 pounds heavier, 30 pounds heavier than you. No sense. This match kind of has those same principles. Brian Cage, huge dude, and Moxley, again, I'm always going to have, a little bit with Moxley because of the fact that Moxley doesn't physically look intimidating. He just physically, he might be able to play the crazy part or whatever, but like the look, like when he was out on injury and he was in his last run in WWE before going to AEW, and he really beefed up and he looked really diesel. He looked good. And I was like, wow, he filled out, looks really good. And now it's like every time I see him in AEW, it looks like he's leaner and leaner and leaner, and not lean cut, but almost seems like lean, like maybe not as defined.
Yeah, but this could be, we know everything that's going on with the world, and he did look the worst he's looked in AEW. I did notice that right away. I was like, obviously we know what's going on, everybody, and also his wife was sick. He had a couple of weeks where he probably didn't do shit, and he's a guy who can't afford not to do shit. He kind of needs to stay on top of his physique.
If you're the champion, it's like this is all those little things. I'm not saying that he has to have some jacked up chiseled body, because if that's not your natural body type, I'm not going to ask you to get there. But you have to look your best to whatever your body type looks, and that's certainly not it. What we saw this week is certainly not it. Chaz cuts a great promo in the beginning. The first thing when I saw Rick Knox being the referee, I was like, oh no, Rick Knox, god dang, no, Rick Knox, no. Justin Roberts, please, enough with the exaggeration announcements. You did it with the Lucha Brothers with Ray Phoenix. Please stop that. And just stop. You could do a little bit. I'm all right with a little bit, but damn it, tone it down some. It's like with Justin Roberts. I used to have arguments with one of my brothers long ago because they always hated Justin Roberts and I always defended him. Now, all these years later, I'm starting to agree with my brothers and be like, damn, I don't really like him that much. I'd rather have Dasha be the ring announcer. But that's neither here nor there. I thought the match was actually fine. I mean, it was a good match. Moxley did exactly what he said he was going to do. He went after the arm, and that was the story of the match. And that was very well done. Moxley was going after the arm. Brian Cage, obviously much bigger, much stronger, just swatting him away. And Moxley continued working on the arm until he finally got some advantage. The one thing that I will say is that in Jon Moxley's matches, and again, I understand that Jon Moxley, he wants to work like a more hardcore, no rules style. You can't do that in every match. Meaning there can't always be a sequence in Moxley's matches where he goes out to the floor and is out there for 5 minutes. And the referee just chases them back, and then the announcers have to say, oh, well, the referee is, taking latitude. It's like, listen, after a certain point, you can't do that all the time. I can understand the announcers are covering. It's for the world title. You don't want it to be a count out. You got to have subtleties. It can't be every single world title match that Moxley's in. Even though that's the style he wants to work, you got to tone that stuff down. It's got to be special, and you can't do it in every single match. I thought in this instance it was actually kind of stupid because they wrestled on the floor for what seemed like 2 or 3 minutes, and then Moxley gets suplexed and body slammed on a metal guardrail, gets thrown in the ring, kicks out at 2, and then he's back on offense right afterwards, selling nothing. Makes no sense. You're not getting slammed by Marco Stunt here, my friend. You're getting slammed by probably the physically biggest dude in AEW. It should hurt. You should be selling it. And he didn't. So that's not good. I guess the one question that I want to have is when they did the chair spot, when Moxley got suplexed on a chair on the floor, who set up the chair? It was just there.
No.
I don't recall anybody going out there and setting nothing up. Not Moxley, not Brian Cage, not Taz, not the timekeeper, security guard.
Probably watch it again and see.
Pineapple Pete.
Maybe you can figure it out.
Pineapple Pete. Nobody. It was like I don't see anybody doing nothing out there. The one thing that I will say is that the setup to the finish I didn't really like a little bit here. And when Brian Cage went and he got posted, that was a really bad post spot. And I think it's probably because Brian Cage is just so wide he can't fit through, in between the turnbuckles really well. He might be too wide. But that was a really bad post spot. And then he's right back on offense. He's not even selling it a little bit. Moxley puts the armbar on him. Again, I don't understand why Taz threw in the towel. Brian Cage. Again, this is bad. This is actually bad television production by AEW in this sense. So, if you know that Brian Cage is going to be in this arm lock, and you know that the finish is going to be that Taz is going to throw in the towel, right? Presumably the production team knows this already. Why is it that you don't get any camera angle that's doing a close-up of Brian Cage's face to see any kind of hurt? What I would have done is I would have had a situation where Brian Cage is actually facing the other way next to where Taz can see him. You have one camera looking at Cage another one looking at Taz, and they go back and forth to see the pain on Brian Cage's face, if there's concern on Taz's face, and then if he throws in the towel, you can have some understanding, even if Brian Cage is like, don't do it. You threw in the towel anyway. Towel gets thrown in. The match is over. Couple of things happen. One is Brian Cage does not sell the injury at all. Doesn't sell the arm at all. He doesn't even look halfway pissed off at Taz. Didn't even look like gave a nothing that said, hey, why did you throw in the towel? Nothing. He immediately beats up Moxley afterwards with the arm that he had the arm that was on the arm lock, which was his right arm. That's the reason why you work to the left, because the majority of people are right-handed. If he would have worked on the left arm, he could have easily, held on the left, beat him up with the right. They do the blackout, whatever, cool. Darby Allin comes on. I'm like, okay, cool. This is the guy that Brian Cage should have been wrestling before he ever got in the ring with Moxley. Mm-hmm. So now I guess they're doing it ass backwards, but I guess we're going to do it right. So, Darby Allin comes in, he runs him out of the ring, and now Taz and Cage are out there, and somebody gave the stage manager a time cue. Stage manager runs up and literally on camera is like telling Taz verbally, like, you got to go, you got to go. That's Bush League, dude. You got to find another way to get that time cue win. That's what the referee is there for. You give the cue to the referee, and then Rick Knox runs out, and he's pushing them back. And you could believe that Rick Knox is the referee, trying to push them back and saying, hey, get out of here, get out of here. Hey, we're going home here. It's whatever. You have the referee give him the Iggy. You don't have the guys, the stage manager do it. Then after that, they kept running out. They kept coming back out, and Brian Cage is wanting more heat. And I'm like, Brian, you just got beat by the world champion. You didn't submit, but you were essentially submitted by your corner man. You're selling no injuries. You got your ass kicked by Darby Allin. What more do you want? And you're still looking indestructible. At that point, it's just like, it's preposterous. It's preposterous.
I don't think this is an AEW thing. This is my problem with Brian Cage. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan. He's not good he's not necessarily good at the little things. He's a big thing guy, right? Get my shit in, Mr. Get my shit in. And now that he's so big, he hasn't done AEW. He hasn't really done anything super athletic. It's all been big man style, which is good.
That's all I want to see. I don't want to see him doing Hurricane Ranas and doing flips. Even if he can do them, I don't want to see him do it.
Yeah, but he doesn't even look good doing them anymore. He's too big. He does a 619. Every time I see it, I throw up almost.
Why?
It looks bad.
Why would he listen? This is where and again this is obviously away from pro wrestling now. This is I'm using like theater stuff. When I used to do theater shows and there was a time when I always had to think that I always had to give more than what was supposed to. And then one day I heard somebody say, like, listen, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. It has to be measured, it has to be tailored. Because you can be the best singer, the best actor, the best whatever, but if your character doesn't call for that, then it's the shits. Same thing with professional wrestling. Just because he physically can't, just because Brian Cage can do a 619 or Hurricane Rana or the tope off the top rope, all that stuff. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. Especially when you're in a roster that's full of guys that's the only style that they work that gets them over. Do the big man stuff because it makes you special, especially in AEW, because there aren't many guys that can do it. Because realistically, Brian Cage might be the only guy that can convincingly do the big man stuff. Because Archer can do it, but he hasn't convinced me he can't do it. Luchasaurus should do it, and he doesn't know how. He chooses to want to do spin kicks and be Chuck Norris instead of being a guy who's 6'5", 260 pounds and should just be kicking everybody's ass. Like he did, especially knowing that his partners are both exponentially smaller than him, particularly in the case of Marco Stunt. So it's just...
With me, I'll leave with this. I'm okay with a big guy doing a cool spot here or whatever. I'm okay with little guys doing whatever they got to do, whatever. I don't necessarily care about the moves, but I will say this. if you're not the best at it or damn near can do it as good as the best guy, don't do it.